So hello and welcome to this Adobe Animate tutorial. Today we are going to create an HTML5 game, and right now I will show you what we are going to be doing. So I'm going to have a grid of shapes and I'm going to have a button play, and if I'm going to click on a button play, some shapes randomly are going to be selected and then they are going to reset back to the original state, and out of memory I will have to click them like so. And if I'm going to click all of them, one more time I'm going to have button play, and right now we are going to go to new level and there is going to be 4 shapes and so on. So yeah, basically this is what we are going to be doing. And I am making this on a grid 3 by 3 because I wanted to make this simple, but you can make this with the grid of 4 by 4 or 5 by 5. That's once you are going to understand it, you can do it as you want. A few things that I need to say before we will start. First of them is that this is going to be only part 1 of the multiple parts, and I'm going to upload them day by day. And then once I'm going to upload all of the parts, I am also going to upload this as a one long video, because some people may prefer to watch, 20 to 30 minutes parts, and some people may prefer to have everything in one long video. So this is for me also like an experiment of what is going to be working better. Other thing that I want to say is that I am not a professional with the JavaScript yet. I am still learning, but there are some things that I don't know, some more advanced concepts and so on. But I know some JavaScript and I like to make these tutorials, so I am just going to share with you what I know so far. If something is not going to be clear to you, you can anytime use ChatGPT or some other AI. It can help you a lot. And yeah, the last thing that I'm going to say is that this part 1, can be a little bit more difficult because we will have to generate multiple different shapes. But don't worry, other parts are going to be, in my opinion, more simple. Okay, so it may seem that part 1 is difficult, but it doesn't mean that all of the parts are going to be even more difficult. But yeah, I think that the part 1 may be the hardest one, but yeah. So yeah, this is what we are going to be doing, and right now we can start. Okay, so right now I am in the Adobe Animate and I'm going to choose my width and height. So for example, I can go with 500 by 500, but you can choose anything. I want this to be HTML5 canvas, and I'm just going to click create. Now I will go to the rectangle tool and I'm going to choose rectangle, and I'm going to get rid of the stroke and I'm going to choose some fill. So I will click on the fill color and I can go maybe with something like this. You can choose any color. And I am going to create a shape like so. Now, if you want, you can click on the shape, select it, and then you are going to have option for the position and size. And if I want, I can make this to be proportional when I am going to scale this, and I am going to make this to be 100 like so. Okay. Now I am going to convert it to the symbol. So I will click on this. I will go to modify, convert to symbol or F8. And I can call this to be symbol 1, or I can call this to be blue shape. That's really optional. I want this to be a movie clip, and the registration point doesn't really matter for now, so I am just going to click OK. So I am going to have a shape like so, and yeah, I am going to duplicate this. So I am going to hold Alt or Option, and I am going to drag like so, and I am going to hold Shift to stay on the same line, and I will go like this. And I'm going to duplicate it one more time, so I'm going to go like this. Now I am not going to play in this tutorial with the alignment of these shapes. You can click on them and you can position the X and Y position, and you can create as you can align it as you want. But I want to keep this simple, and this tutorial is about the JavaScript, so we are not going to be worried about perfect alignment, but yeah. Now, once I have 3 shapes, I am going to select them, and one more time with Alt and Shift, or Option and Shift, I am going to go like this, and one more time I am going to duplicate it, and I am going to go like this. So yeah, I am going to have something like this. This is not going to be perfectly aligned, because I don't mind, but as I said, if you click on the shape, you can see the X and Y position. You can click on the next shape, you can see the X and Y position. So for example, I can click on this one and I can see that the X is 120. In here, X is 240. So in that case, this one I would want to position on 360 and so on. But yeah, so yeah. Now I'm going to click anywhere and I'm going to click on the stage and I'm going to choose some background color. So I'm just going to choose something which is not white, and yeah. So right now, if I go with Control Enter, Command Enter, this is what we are going to have. So yeah, I will click on the stage and I'm going to choose something different, maybe something like this, but this is really optional, but I like this little bit more. But yeah, now we need to put an instance name to all of these shapes, and I would call it blue1, but I am just going to go only with B1, which is going to stand for like blue1. This one is going to be B2 and so on. So yeah, if I would be working on some project, I would maybe go with blue, just so I know in my JavaScript that this is blue, okay? But yeah, I will just go from B1 up to B9, so all of them needs to have a different name, like so, and yeah. So I am going to have my shapes named from B1 up to B9. They are going to be on the layer 1, and I'm going to create new layer, and I can double click and I can call this layer to be code. You can rename this layer as you want. I can double click and I can call this to be shapes, but yeah. Now I will right click on I will go to my code layer and I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose actions, and this is going to open me this text editor. You can adjust this as you want, position it as you want, but I'm going to have it like so, and I'm going to be zoomed in with Control or Command and mouse wheel so you can see this a little bit better. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array which is going to contain all of my shapes. So I will go with const. You can go also with the let. There are two options for the variable let and const, but arrays we usually go with const, but both are going to be working. You can always go with the let. But yeah, I'm going to go const my blues, for example, or I could call this original blues, but I will go with const my blues is going to be equal. This is how you are going to make an array with the brackets, and I will go this B1 and comma, and I will have to go this B1 up to this B9. Okay, this refers to the main timeline. So it's like saying this timeline give me B1, this timeline give me B2, and so on. So yeah, basically I am going to be like so. In here I went to the new line. That's perfectly fine. But what you need to do, what you need to have is you need to have a comma in between all of them like so. So yeah, and the semicolon in the JavaScript are optionals. I am going to use them, but sometimes I'm going to forget. But yeah, so yeah, I'm going to have in my array. Right now I can go ahead and console.log the array. So I can go console.log my blues like so, and yeah, so I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. I will go with F12, or I'm going to right click and choose Inspect. I have this in Google Chrome because Google Chrome is my default browser. You may have a different browser as a default browser, so it is going to maybe open you this in a different browser, but F12 or right click Inspect should get you to the developer tools, and you can go to the console, and in the console you would see errors or things that we are going to be console.logging, and right now I have array which is going to have 9 elements, and if I'm going to open this, I'm going to have library blue shape, and so on. So yeah, now what we can do is we can change the opacity of any of these shapes, and arrays are 0 based, so this is going to have index 0, index 1 up to index 8. Okay, when you have 9 elements, the last index is going to be index 8. If you are going to have 20 elements, last index is going to be index 19 because you always start with 0. So what I could do is I can type my blues 0.alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. Alpha is opacity, 0.5 means 50%, and it is going to be like so. Or we can go my blues 8 alpha is going to be, and this is going to be the last one. If I would go with number 9, which doesn't exist, like so, I would get an error. So this is where you are going to have your errors. Cannot set properties of undefined because there is nothing defined on the index 9, but yeah. Now what we want to do is we want to create a random number between 0 and 8 and randomly choose the shape. So I'm going to type let random n or a random index, but I will go with random n, and I'm going to make it equal to be math.floor, and I am going to not my math.floor, math.random, and I'm going to multiply it by 9. But before of that, I need to explain this little bit because maybe some of you doesn't know. So math.random, m need to be capital. This is how you are going to get a random number. I can console.log that, console.log random n like so, and this is going to give me random number between 0 and 1, so it is going to be some decimal, and basically I want to multiply it by 9, because if I am going to have random number generated which is going to be 0.99 something, and I'm going to multiply it by 9, I am going to have 8 point something, but I cannot have 9 because I would have to have 1 multiplied by 9 to be 9, and 0.99999 multiplied by 9 is going to be 8 point something. And if I am going to have 0.00 something and I am going to multiply it by 9, I am going to have 0 point something. So basically what we want to do is we want to go math.random and we want to go multiplied by 9. This is going to give me a random number between 0 point something up to 8 point something like so. And now what we need to do is we need to get rid of the decimals, and we can do this with math.floor. So I will type math.floor like so, and I am going to put all of this math.random multiplied by 9 to the math.floor. So math.floor is basically going to get rid of the decimal numbers. So if I would have 8 point something, it is going to make it 8 like so, and if I am going to have 0 point something, it is going to make it 0. So yeah, basically this is a way how you are going to generate a random number between 0 and 8. If you don't understand this, try to Google it, try ChatGPT or something else, but yeah. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter. Right now I am going to have 0, and if I'm going to refresh, I'm going to have something else, and I should have a random number between 0 and 8. Now what I can do is I can still console.log the random n, and what I could do is I can go my blues, so I will type my blues of random n like so. Alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. Okay, so if we are going to generate a random number which is going to be 0, then we will go my blues 0 alpha is 0.5. If I am going to generate number 8, we will go my blues 8 alpha is 0.5. So here I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter, and we are going to have number 6 and so on. Now I am going to hide the console for the moment, and I will just show you. I will refresh, and I should know, because this one right now is selected, that we have generated random number which is 1, because this one has index 0, this one has 1, so I will go with F12 and it is going to be 1. I can refresh. Okay, this one is going to be 0 and so on. And this one is going to be 8 and yeah. So yeah. Now what we want to do is we want to create a for loop which is going to loop multiple times, and we are going to generate multiple different random numbers. So yeah. So I'm going to create a basic for loop. So I'm going to type for, and I will go let I is going to be equal to 0, while I is going to be smaller than, let's say, 5, and I plus plus. So this is the basic for loop, and it is going to loop 5 times because it will loop when I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and yeah. So if I'm going to console.log I, for example, we are going to have numbers from 0 to 4. Let me for the moment comment out console.logging random n. So we are just going to have these numbers 0 up to 4 because we have this condition I is smaller than 5. Okay, or I can just console.log something like hello, and it is going to console.log me that 5 times. So what I can do right now is very simply I can put my let random n inside of the for loop. So it is going to loop 5 times, and 5 times it is going to generate a random number between 0 and 8. Okay, then I am going to console.log the random number. So I am just going to cut it in there like so, and we can also change my blues of random n alpha to be 0.5 like so, and yeah. So now let me change this for the moment for instead of 5 to number 3. So we are going to loop 3 times, and we will see. So I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter, and there is going to be an issue because we have generated the first round number 7. It is going to be this one, and the alpha is going to be 0.5, and then we generated 5. So this is going to be this one, and then one more time we generated 5. So we are going to have only 2 shapes. Okay, I can refresh. Right now we are going to have 3 shapes because we are going to have 3 different numbers, but yeah. So the thing is that we are generating this random number, but they can repeat. Okay, for example, if I go with number 5, we are barely going to get 5 different numbers. So right now we are going to have 4 shapes because number 1 was generated twice. Okay, right now we have 5, but that's something. Okay, we have 2 times 5, but right now we have only 3 because we have 7, 5, and then 3, 3, 3. Okay, so what can we do with this? What can we do with this is we can use something called splice, and yeah, I will try to explain to you. So I am going to create some array. So I will go const names, for example, and I am going to make it an equal to an array, and in the array I am going to make some names. So I will go like Martin, for example, then comma, then Jane. I am putting it in the quotation marks because this is string, these are names. Right now I can go like Monica, I can go Peter, and I can go Joe, for example. So basically I am going to have an array which is called names, and it is going to contain 5 names. Okay, this is something that I need to do to explain splice a little bit, but yeah, I can go ahead and console.log names like so, and for the moment I am going to comment out this for loop. So I will go with slash and asterisk and slash. This is a way how you can comment multiple lines of code, and I will go with Control Enter, Command Enter, and I am going to have the array name which is going to have Martin, Jane, Monica, Peter, and Joe. Now there are some ways how you can add or remove something in the beginning or at the end of the array, you probably know that there is a push, which is going to allow you to put something on the end of the array, or a pop, which is going to delete something from the end of the array. But yeah, but there is an option to use other array method, which is going to call splice, and this is something that we will do. And basically, it is going to allow me to delete something from the array, which is, for example, in the middle, like Monica, or somewhere here, or like so. So let's say that we would like to get rid of the J, okay? And why are we doing this? I will just tell you that with our my blues, what we will be doing is, if for example we are going to select this B2, we are going to then remove it from the array. Okay, so let's go. I will type names dot splice, like so, and let's say that we want to get rid of the J. Okay, the splice is going to take two things. The first one is going to be the index where we want to start to delete. So Jane has index 1, so I will go with 1, then comma, and how many items do you want to delete? I want to delete one item. Okay, so this one we will always go with 1, and basically this is saying that go to index 1 and delete one element. Okay, so right now we are going to have our array, but Jane is not going to be in the array. Okay, if we want to get rid of the Monica, Monica is going to have index number 2, and we want to delete one element. So yeah, right now we are going to delete Monica. You can, but we are not going to use this. Go that I want to go to index 2, which is Monica, and I want to delete two elements. So we would delete Monica and Peter, but this is not what we are going to be doing. So yeah, so we are always going to be deleting one element. And for example, Martin, I can go 0, start with index 0 and delete 1, and we are going to get rid of the Martin. And the same thing we could do with the Joe. We would go with number 4 and so on. So why are we doing this? Because we are going to splice our shapes. Okay, I am going to get rid of everything like so. And for the moment, I will show you something that I wanted to show you, but I kind of forget. So for the moment, I am going to copy the random number like so, and I am going to put it outside of the for loop. And right now I am multiplying this by 9. Okay, so if I want to have a random number between 0 and 8, I am multiplying random number by 9, and then I go with math.floor. Okay, but I can go and I have my blues, and I can type console.log, and I can console.log my blues.length. So I will go like this, my blues.length, like so. For the moment, I can comment out the random number. So my the length of my blues is going to be 9, because it is going to contain 9 elements. Okay, so yeah, I could even go like plus and the length of array, so we can see this. But yeah, the length of the array means how many elements are in the array. So arrays are starting from 0 and yeah, but the length means how many elements are in the array. So when we are going to create random number, what we want to do is we want to multiply this not by directly 9, but by my blues.length. Okay, my blues.length is 9, so it is going to match. But if I would have, for example, one element less, so if I would get rid of this one, right now the length of the array is going to be 8, and this one would be index 0, and this one would be index 7. Okay, and that's why I would want to multiply this by the length of the array, which is always one more than the index of the last element. So yeah, hopefully this makes sense. So right now when we don't have this be 9, the length is going to be 8, and we want to generate a random number from 0 to 7, and that's why this would be 8. And if I'm going to one more time put back this dot b9, right now the length is going to be 9, and we want to have random number from 0 to 8, and yeah. So hopefully this makes sense, but yeah, and yeah. So I am going to cut this, and I'm going to put it inside of my for loop like so, and yeah. So now basically we can continue like so. I'm going to get rid of the space, and yeah, basically we have a random number. We just change this to myblues.length. Then we are console.logging the random number. Then what we can do, this is something which is optional, but we can store this myblues random n inside of the variable. So I can type that let blue, for example, is going to be equal to myblues of random n. So every time that we are going to loop, it is going to contain something different. And then I can just go blue.alpha is equal to 0.5. I can go with Control Enter, and it is still going to be working the same way. Okay, so hopefully I didn't like confuse you with this one. I can show you, but maybe I am making this too much, but yeah. So for example, I can have that myblues. I can go myblues of 5 dot alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. Okay, and that's going to change number 5. But what I could have is I could have like let index is going to be equal to 5, and then I would have myblues of index. Okay, so this is what we have, like myblues random n. We can have myblues index, and I can change this to number 3, for example. And right now it is going to be that one, 0, 1, 2, 3. And what we can do is we can store this inside of the variable. So I can type let blue is going to be equal to myblues of index, like so. And then I can just say that, okay, blue.alpha is going to be equal to 0.5, and yeah, and if I'm going to change this to number 7, then we are going to have number 7, and yeah. So hopefully this makes sense, and yeah. And the last thing that we need to do in here, we need to go that myblues.splice, and we need to splice random n, and we want to splice one element. This probably is not going to make that much sense, but this is all that we need to do to make it work. And right now, every time that I'm going to refresh, I am going to have 5 shapes, even though my random numbers are going to repeat. Okay, so yeah, I have a separate tutorial about the splice. I am explaining that a little bit more in that video. So yeah, but now I will try to explain you what we are doing. So temporarily, I am going to copy myblues array just to show you, and yeah, and for the moment I am going to comment out the original one like so. Okay, and let's imagine that on the first round, what we are going to do is we are going to have the loop. The first thing we are going to have is let random n is math.floor, math.random, and let's say that we are going to generate number 3. Okay, so yeah, we are going to have number 3. We are going to console.log number 3, And then we are going to have that blue is going to be my blues of random n of number 3. So this is going to be 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is number 3. Okay. And what we are saying is that blue, or my blues of number 3, alpha is going to be equal to 0.5. So we are changing this one, this before, which would be this one. We are changing the alpha to 0.5. And then we say that my blues dot splice, as I showed you a few moments ago, splice on the random n. Random n is number 3, so it is 0, 1, 2, 3, and splice one element. So basically we are saying that change the alpha of the element and then completely delete it from the array. Okay? So yeah, this was the first round of the loop, and then we are going to have the second loop. And right now we are going to have let random n is math.floor, math.random multiplied by my blues length. But right now we have deleted one element from the array. So we don't want to generate random number from 0 to 8, but only from 0 to 7. Okay, because right now this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7. Okay, so we do not want this to be 9 anymore, but we want this to be 8. But it is automatically going to adjust because my blues dot the length has changed. On the first loop it was 8. So we were generating random number from on the first loop it was 9. So we were generating random number from 0 to 8. And the second loop, the length is going to be 8. So we will generate random number from 0 to 7. Okay. So let's say that on the second round, we are one more time going to generate number 3. So we are going to console.log it, and we will go, this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, this is index 3, this b5. So we are going to store it in the variable that my blues of random n is going to be blue. It is going to be this b5. We will say that blue alpha is going to be 0.5. So it is going to be this one. We are going to change the alpha. So the first loop we have generated this one, but then we have put it away from the array. Now we are generating, we are changing this one, and then with my blues.splice random n, which is 3, we are going to delete this element like so, and yeah. And if on the next round we are going to, and one more time, right now the array is going to be shorter, is going to contain only 7 elements, so we want random number from 0 to 6, but my blues length in here right now is going to be 7, so we are going to generate random number from 0 to 6, and let's say that right now we are going to generate number 5, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so right now we are going to, change the alpha of this one, and then we are going to delete it. So yeah. So hopefully this makes sense. If not, I am going to put a link in the description for my splice tutorial. It is very similar to what we are doing right now. But yeah, this is basically one way how we can always have 5 shapes, or as many shapes as we want. If I am going to change this to number 7, for example, then we are always going to have 7 shapes and so on. And it is something which is essential for our game. The last thing that we are going to make in this part is we are going to create an array, empty array. So I will go const target blues, for example, and I'm going to make it to be an empty array like so. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to be pushing my elements to the target blues. So how the pushing works, Let's imagine the target blues is array with the names. So what I could do, I will show you in here. I can go target blues dot push, and I'm going to push let's say Martin, like so. And right now I can console.log target blues, and it is going to contain one element, and that's going to be Martin, like so. I will go with F12 array 1, and it is going to be Martin. Right now I can duplicate this line of code target blues.push, and right now we are going to push Monica. So right now we are going to have two elements. One is going to be Martin, one is going to be Monica. So push is a way how you can add something to the end of the array. I am going to get rid of this, and what we are going to do is in the for loop, before we will splice, so in here we are going to say that target blues dot push, and we are going to push there the blue. Okay, so basically we are going to choose some shape, we are going to push it to new array, and then we are going to delete it from the old array. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to show you in this video is that we are going to console.log our arrays, just to make this clear. So I'm going to go console.log, and we are going to console.log target blues, and target blues right now is going to contain 5 shapes. So I will go with F12. I'm going to have array 5, and in this array we should have B1, B2, B3, 4, 5, B6, 7, 8, and B9. Okay, and based on the order of the random numbers, I should know that the first random number was 0. So if I'm going to open this, I'm going to see like library blue shapes, and I can open this even more. Don't worry about this stuff, but there is like a name, and the first name should be B1, okay? Because the first number was 0. If I'm going to close this, the second random number was 4, so this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, this is index 3, and this is index 4, okay? But we have spliced this element, so it is going to be this one, and this is going to be B6. So if I am going to open this and I will go in here, this should be B6, and so on. So basically in this array we are going to have all of these shapes that we have selected. And now if I go and I am going to console.log my blues, the original one, so I will just copy this, Ctrl C, and I will go with Ctrl D, and I'm going to paste in here my blues, like so. This array is going to contain 4 elements. It is going to contain the shapes that we didn't select. And if I'm going to open this, I am going to know that the first one is going to be B1, the second one is going to be B2. So if I'm going to open this, this is going to be B1. If I am going to open this one, the second one is going to be B2, okay? The next one is going to be 3, 4, 5, and the last one is going to be 6, okay? And basically, these two arrays are going to contain all of the shapes that we are going to have, okay? So the array 5 target blues is going to contain 5 shapes that we have selected, an array which is going to have 4 elements, which is the original my blues, is going to contain the shapes that we didn't select. So yeah, basically this is it. So we are going to cut it for the first part. I hope that this was clear. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that you have learned something, and I hope that you are going to continue with part 2. So yeah, take care and goodbye.